What's good, YouTube? It's me, your boy Squiddy, back in another video. Yubel is actually getting some support nearly 20 years later, and I have to say, this is absolutely nuts. The moment I saw this, I was like, I have to make a Squiddy because as a kid, Jaden was like my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist of all time, and watching him play Yubel was amazing. I literally brought my Yubel deck to locals and went like 0-4 real fast as like a 7-year-old because that's how bad the cards were, and I never would have imagined that they'd print Yubel support that would make the deck remotely playable, but I have to say, after reading this new support, I'm pleasantly surprised. This is a new series of cards that's coming out in the upcoming set called Phantom Nightmare, which releases after Age of Overlord in the OCG. So we're not gonna get it until like at least 6 months, maybe a year from now, but still, this is very, very cool stuff, revolutionary. Starting off at the top, Spirit of Yubel. This is a level 10 that's in the vein of Yubel, 0 attack, 0 defense. When your opponent declares an attack with a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is special summoned, you can either add to your hand or set to your side of the field one spell or trap that lists Yubel in its card text from your deck. Now, bear in mind, there actually do not exist any spell or trap cards that mention Yubel in the current TCG or OCG, but there will be in this line of support that I'm going to show you guys in a second here. It's absolutely crazy. The other effect is this card cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take 0 battle damage from battles involving this card. And the last effect is if this card is destroyed, you can special summon one Yubel from your hand, deck, graveyard, or banished. Really cool that they're able to special summon that from anywhere, so just playing one copy might even suffice. Moving on. Gistorch Golem. This is kind of like Grinder Golem, I would imagine. This card is hard once per turn to special summon it. Its effect is you can reveal one Yubel monster in your hand, special summon this card from your hand to your opponent's side of the field, then you can special summon the revealed monster. Once per turn during damage calculation in a battle between this monster and a Yubel monster, your opponent gains 3k life points. And if you special summon Yubel while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card to your opponent's side of the field. So it's a lot like Grinder Golem. You're special summoning this card to your opponent's side of the field, special summoning a Yubel monster to our side of the field, including the Spirit of Yubel, which we just witnessed, that would get its effect because it's special summoned. And then when we attack this golem, what happens is it would trigger on our opponent's side of the field, and since we're the opponent of our opponent, we would be the ones gaining the 3,000 life points. And then also on top of that, it has the effect where it can recur back from the graveyard. Just really, really cool as an extender and as a monster that you give to your opponent to play around things like evenly matched, infinite, and permanent. It's always crazy to me that you can special summon monsters to your opponent's side of the field. They're usually really, really broken in some sense. So it's kind of neat. Moving on, we have a retrain of Samsara Lotus. This was a card that was actually, original printing was banned, but this is like crazy. Samsara Demon Lotus. It's a fiend plant, and it says you can tribute this card, special summon one Yubel monster from your deck. So it's a Lone Fire monster, Lone Fire Blossom for any Yubel monsters from your deck. That's nuts. And then the other effect is during your opponent's turn, if a monster effect is activated and you control a Yubel monster, you can tribute this card. That effect becomes destroy one Yubel monster on the field. So effectively, this is like an effect negator because we're going to change the effect of a monster effect into destroy our Yubel monster, which triggers our Yubels. For those of you guys that don't know what the original Yubels do, they get effects to summon the upgraded version of Yubel when they're destroyed. And this is really neat because it also interacts with monster effects that activate from anywhere. So not just field, but it could also be like hand or graveyard. So really, really cool. And the last effect to top it off is during your end phase, if this card is in your graveyard and you control Yubel, you can either add this card to your hand or special summon it. Wow, this is really, really neat because these cards all have like a plethora of good effects. And I'm just like, you know, this is actually really, really cool that they're making it remotely playable as a potential deck. Okay, moving on. Wow, we actually get a fusion monster for Yubel. Yubel das ewig Lieb Wachter. Okay, I don't know what that means in German, but I think Lieb means like big train or something, because that's what the Dreadnought Lieb is. This is a level 12 fusion monster that requires one Yubel monster plus one or more monsters on the field. This is really, really neat because it could actually be made using the new Yubel monster, the Spirit of Yubel, as well as monsters on your opponent's field, potentially. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. We're going to see in the next support. And if this card is fusion summoned, you can inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each monster used as a fusion material for this card. This card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. Also, you take no damage from the battles involving this card. And then at the end of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. And if you do, banish that monster. Okay, a little outdated in terms of effects because it does require the battle phase. However, I think it's still like a potential good option. As long as this is not the card that we rely on in order to win the game, I think this is still a really nice toolbox option. Wow, okay, we get a continuous spell card called Nightmare Pain. During your main phase, you can destroy one dark monster from your hand or face-up field, and if you do, add one card from your deck to your hand that is Yubel or mentions it in its text. So you can actually add any card that mentions Yubel. All of this previous support does mention Yubel, so we would be able to add it, and we have to, in exchange, destroy a dark monster, which would trigger the original Yubel. That's really, really interesting. It is a hard once per turn. The other effect is if you control a Yubel monster, your opponent's monsters must attack Yubel monsters if able. Okay, so it's almost like a battle mania, forces them to attack. Really interesting. And then damage you would take from battles involving your Yubel monsters is instead inflicted to your opponent. Okay, so they're kind of going with that theme of like inflicting damage to our opponent instead. I could already see some of these cards potentially being splashed as an engine in a metagame, like just because it just has like a lot of effects that are really good and really, really recursion, being able to search everything. It seems really neat. Another continuous spell card called Mature Chronicle. I think this is based on that, what is that? Spell Chronicle, I think? That was actually a card that had a meme at one time. Each time you special summon a Yubel monster or a monster that mentions Yubel, place one Chronicle counter on this card. You can remove 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 Chronicle counters from your field. Apply the following effect. 1. Special summon a Yubel from your graveyard. 2. Add one banished card to your hand. Wow, banished? So can you add face downs? I think you actually can. That's really interesting. 3. Banish card from your deck. 4. Destroy one card on the field. 5. Add one super polymerization from your deck to your hand. Searchable super polymerization? Excuse me? I think already it's pretty good, because even just being able to get back a Yubel from your graveyard or add a banish card to your hand, those two effects requiring the least amount of investment is actually really interesting. So this could potentially be a card that's splashable since it's searchable off of the Nightmare card that we previously just saw. So interesting there. Okay, we got a continuous trap card called Eternal Favorite. Ooh, just like Favorite, I guess like Jaden Yuki, kind of playing off that motif of favorite heroes. Once per turn, you can choose one of these effects to activate. You can only choose each of these effects once per turn with this card's name. 1. Special summon one of your Yubel monsters that is in your graveyard or banished. Neither player can activate cards or effects in response to a special summon. Interesting. Okay, it's like a called... it's like a Cast Your Birth in trap form for Yubel monsters. That's funny. And it's continuous effect, so that's really nice. Continuous trap, you can use it on our opponent's turn as well as our own. And then the other effect is if you control a Yubel, discard a card, then send this card from your Spiral Trap Zone to the graveyard. Fusion summon one fusion monster from the extra deck by using monsters from either field as material, including a Yubel monster. Wow. So you're not restricted to just that new Yubel card that can use 1+ monster. Wow, that monster, that fusion monster literally said 1+ monsters, right? So that means that we're going to be able to nuke our opponent's entire board with a Yubel in order to go into that. That's really cool. Yeah, because you can use monsters from either field, including your own Yubel monster. Wow. If there's Yubel mirror match, I feel like this card would be busted. But that's really neat, and you don't even have to go into that Yubel fusion. I guess that's the best one to go into, but I imagine you could also go into other things like Dragostapelia as well, which is really nice because it doesn't restrict you to that specific Yubel fusion monster. Really cool. Okay, I think that was it for the new Yubel cards, but I'm actually kind of surprised that these cards are actually really decent. Spirit of Yubel, I just realized, is a playoff of Spirit of Neil, so that's really cool. I would advise you guys, if you are collectors or investors, to pick up the Yubel stuff before it actually goes up. So even going to TCG Player right now, you can see there are a couple of copies of Maximum Rarity Yubel. I guess you can consider either the Secret Rare or potentially the OG Super Rare. Personally, I like the OG cards when it comes to any cards that are originally printed in a holo rarity. However, it seems like the community has already decided that this Secret Rare one is the Max Rarity one. Holy crap, it's already getting bought out. What? These Yu-Gi-Oh! Yubel fans are just crazy. Oh, I guess the card was already around $20, so people are already buying out. That's quite high for a collector's card, but I guess it isn't in demand. And holy smokes, it's already been bought out. We're only left with mod plays like near mints, I think, are just already to $30 to $50, which is nuts. Taking a look at the super rare one, Phantom Darkness, OG first edition. Personally, when I play this deck, I'm probably going to use the OG printings because this one just looks better to me. Only about $10, so not bad. Not a lot of people are buying this card out as much as a secret rare. What else is Yubel? Stocks. Stonks for Yubel. Yubel Terror Incarnate Ultimate Rare. This card is definitely getting bought out. Wow, it's around $25 to $40 in that mark. Previously, they were quite cheap. I think they were like $15, $20. So people are already starting to drive this sales up. And yeah, you can see light plays are still 25, 30. So it's not too bad. Honestly, if you guys want to invest in a nice little card for the upcoming year or so, I would definitely pick up these light played ones for 20 to 25. I think it's a great deal for an OG ultimate printing. And this card, by the way, you do probably play it in the deck because this is a target that you special summon off of Yubel when Yubel is popped. So by the effect of the Nightmare spell card that we previously just looked at, this is definitely the card that we want to special summon off of it. It also happens to be a level 11. I'm not sure if that's relevant for any XYZ plays, but this is one that we want to special summon off of Yubel as a free body there. So definitely we'll be playing at least one copy of that card. Yubel, the Ultimate Nightmare. Now, this is the one that, wow, there's actually 2 secret rare printings, but obviously the OG Phantom Nightmare one, the Phantom Darkness, this is the one that you want. Wow, people are buying this card out as well. Not as much so because it's a little more expensive, seeing they're at $70, which makes sense for an OG secret rare. I know they were even more back in the day. They were like over 100. Okay, we still got a couple of copies at 70. Honestly, if you guys have the stonks, I would pick up these 70 ones because this card will definitely go up to 150, maybe even 200 at the moment that people buy out the rest of these. And with the looming release of Phantom Nightmare, I think this card will actually go up as well. I'm not even sure if you play this one because it's a brick. You literally have to summon it off of the effect of Yubel Terror Incarnate. And then the effect is not even good. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. You take no battle damage. If this card attacks a opponent's monster, inflict damage equal to its attack, and then destroy that monster at the end of the damage step. So the fusion is just like a way better version of this card. So I'm not even sure if you play this in the deck. However, it is a Yubel card. So if you guys want like a stock option, this is definitely a card that I would pick up as well. Yeah, how does this summon off? When this face-up attack position monster is attacked by an opponent's monster, inflict damage during your end phase. When this card is removed from the field, you can special summon one Yubel Ultimate Nightmare from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Interesting. However, wait. This card is an old errata. It says when this card is removed from the field, you can. Ooh, that means it can miss timing. So we cannot link off or fusion summon with this card and then attempt to summon a Yubel the Ultimate Nightmare from our hand, deck, or graveyard because it says when you can. It's not an if. It's not. This is an older card, guys. So this card literally needs to be destroyed at the last thing to happen, because if we link it off or if we fusion summon it with it, the last thing to happen is a monster hitting the table, a monster summon. So this would actually miss timing. So this actually has to be destroyed by something like a dark hole or destroyed somehow, removed from the field somehow off a card effect. I don't know if there was anything just built in that we could abuse this with, so I'm not even sure if Ultimate Nightmare is something you even want to summon out. It's basically just a Reborn Tengu-esque effect, so we probably don't even play it. But even still, I would recommend that you guys definitely pick it up if you have the funds and you're looking to potentially plus really fast. Right now, this is probably the moment to do it. Yeah, I mean, that's about all I had for the video. I really wanted to go over these Yubel cards because I'm really stoked about these cards. I just I loved them as a kid. And if you guys have any questions, like suggestions on how we can make this deck actually viable, if you guys have any combos, definitely let me know and send them to me so we can check them out and I'll make a video on them. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.